Welcome to Docs Outside the Box podcast. This is your official show, looking inside the minds of cutting-edge and innovative doctors. Think you'll find these stories in any medical textbook? Sorry. You're getting real-life insight from men and women pushing the envelope beyond medicine. Ordinary doctors doing extraordinary things. Let's start now with your host, Dr. Nee Darko.
Yo, what's up? What's good, everyone? This is Dr. Nee. I'm joined by...
Dr. Renee.
Yo, you paused for a second there. You flinched. It was like from that movie, you remember Shaft? Yeah. The first one?
Yo, what is his name? Yo, Tito. Why you flinch?
No, I don't think it was that. I think he used he used the Spanish curse word, actually.
Did he?
He said, yo, something. Why you flinch?
Oh.
Well, anyway, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another Ask Dr. Nee segment. I got my wife, Dr. Renee, here, back by popular demand. What's good? How you doing?
I'm back by popular demand?
Yeah, everybody asked for you to come back, yo.
Really?
Yeah.
I gave everybody $20, so they better have.
Which account you paid them from? We trying to keep a budget, so is there something you want to let me know about?
I paid them from the joint account.
Well, there's going to be a bunch of IOUs that's going to arrive in everybody's either email or in their mail because we ain't got no money. But yeah, I want to welcome everyone back to the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. We've been off for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Had to kind of, take some time away, spend some time at home, doing some other things and stuff. So just wasn't ready to come out with an episode yet. So
yeah, it's been busy.
Decided to come back with an episode where, kind of giving people an update, what's going on with you, what's going on with us. And then also someone submitted a question. Yeah. And we're going to answer that question on this show. So why don't we get right to it? And let's talk about your book launch. How good old V.
Mess up the title of my book.
Go ahead.
What is the title of my book, Dr. Nee?
How good old V came to be.
No, it's how good old Dr. V. You forgot I was a doctor?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. I'm just teasing you. I'm actually just testing her out and stuff just to see if she remembers. But yes,
yeah.
Your book, you came out, your book launched a little over a week ago. How Good Old Dr. V Came to Be launched. That was a really good launch. So we found a work and play. Yeah. Which is basically like a co-working space up here in Jersey. And we rented a portion of the place and we had it all going. We had posters. We had everything. You did your Facebook launch with the book. We did it on Instagram. We did it on, what else did we do it on?
No, that was it. Facebook and Instagram, yeah.
Facebook and Instagram.
I just stuck to the two that I probably know best. So how good old Dr. V came to be. My children's book I launched actually the day before Thanksgiving. And it went really, really well. So,
it went very well.
Yeah.
So you wrote the book about, a year before, but then mainly because of,
Well, I wrote the book, it's probably like 2 years. And then the book was ready to publish about a year before. And then life happened. Then I got pregnant. Then I didn't feel like launching because it was just too much work. And then finally I decided to just, bite the bullet and launch right after I delivered. Actually, I contacted my publisher and said, I'm ready to launch.
Well, good thing you did. And that's something that I wanted to ask you about is because, well, why don't you tell people the results of this whole thing, this whole process of what exactly is launching? Some people don't even understand that. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Take them through that,
So launching your book, you could write a book, right? And then you could just put it up on Amazon. And then you could just tell people about it, word of mouth, or just post something on Facebook real quick. And then people either buy it or they don't. But when you launch a book, what you're doing is, more of a promo of a book, like a big promo of a book. And so launching a book actually takes a little bit of planning. And, launching a book isn't necessarily like it's not like, let's put it like this. It's not as big as a gender reveal.
Speaking of gender reveals, did you see that one where they had a balloon? It was the husband, wife, and the daughter already there. And they had a big balloon, and obviously it was a boy, but I don't know what happened, but someone put too much dye in there. So when the husband popped it, like all the dye like exploded on the girl. And she just had this mean face of like you could tell that this was going to be a meme in the future, right? And you could tell she's going to be really upset when she saw her little baby brother like, you did this to me,
You did this to me.
We've seen some pretty bad gender reveals.
Yeah. But yeah, it wasn't, a book launch isn't as big as a gender reveal necessarily.
Or it could be.
It could be. But it doesn't have to be, right? So there is some planning, though, that has to go into it. You've got to know kind of...
All right, let's start from the beginning. Like, why do you want to do a book launch? Like, if I go with a publisher and I just put the book out, then that's good enough, right?
Well... that's good enough, but then your question is good enough, right? So you want to do a book launch because you want people to be aware of the fact that you wrote the book. You want to do a book launch because it helps you to kind of promote your brand, right? So
basically it's like if you write this book and it comes out, it doesn't necessarily mean that people will buy it. You need to let people know about the book.
Yeah,
Almost
it's not
like,
a build it, they will come kind of thing.
You write your blog, all of a sudden
people are all of a sudden at your blog.
Or if you do a podcast, people are going to want to listen. You got to let people know.
Exactly. You have to let people know that it's out there. So you're building your brand. And you also want people to know that you wrote a book because in building your brand, you want to be able to be known for something, right? So what is the content of your book saying about you as a brand, right? Because that's more information that you're putting out there for people to kind of know who you are, what you're about, what you talk about, what your expertise is. So that's why you want to do a book launch. And my book launch had a little bit of background work. So I did some promotions. If you saw on Facebook, there was for about a good week and a half, 2 weeks, where people were actually showing that they either got the book, read the book with their children, showed their children reading the book, gave their reviews. So I basically, asked people to promote the book.
I remember we mailed out a bunch of advanced copies to people who you knew would have your back, people who would not only get the book but take pictures
and post it on social media.
So how far in advance did you do that?
Oh, yeah, it was like the day before.
Well, no. So if your book your book launch was on Thanksgiving, excuse me, your book launch was the day before Thanksgiving. That's right. That means we got the book out at least 5 to 6 days before that.
Was it 5 to 6 days?
Yeah, it was about 5 to 6 days before.
I feel like all of that time was just like crunched together.
Yeah. So I remember we were going to the post office.
Yeah.
We sent out the packages.
Yeah.
Via media
I did
mail.
send out some books the day before, but that was kind of like extra stuff that I had sent out. I think those were like 4 or 5 books extra that I sent out. Yeah. But you're right. The bulk of the books were about 5 days before.
So we sent the books out. You wanted people to read it with their kids, take pictures, use a special hashtag to kind of just build the momentum and letting people know that there's this book coming.
Hashtag good old Dr. V.
Right.
Yeah.
So letting people know that there's this book coming out. It's coming out. It's coming out. Wait for your book launch the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So that was one step.
Yeah. And it built, doing that built some anticipation, right? And I kind of talked about that during the book launch, that it built anticipation because people then started asking, well, where can I get this book, right? You make it kind of like it's this exclusive club almost, right? Like, wait a minute, who has this book? Why are they, why is everybody on social media showing this book and I don't have the book and I don't know where to get it? And so what you should know.
Like a Popeye's chicken sandwich.
Except nobody was getting stabbed in the parking lot.
Wouldn't that be fly though?
No, that would not. No.
Yo, I want that good old Dr. V book, yo. No. What do you mean you ain't got it here?
No.
Holding up a Barnes and Nobles.
No.
What you mean you ain't got this book here? World Star.
No, please don't World Star with my book, please.
Selling it on eBay for $1,000 your book.
Basically.
That's amazing.
Oh my God. But yeah, no. So it builds anticipation. It's almost like a scarcity but exclusivity kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Got you. Okay, so you sent books out to people. You started basically a campaign online through Facebook. Some people may be listening. They're like, well, shouldn't my publishing company do this? I mean, it's in their best interest to make sure the book launch went well. What happened in your situation? Why didn't your publishing company do that? Is this something that if you're with a publishing company, should they expect the company to do this, or is this something that we all should be doing on our own?
Because it's my first book, I can't really say, right? And because now we're in the age of self-publishing, not all publishing companies are, born equal, if you will. So I actually don't know the answer to that. I just know in my case that my publisher is a publisher that promotes self-publishing. So, I mean, from that standpoint, if I did want them to do any marketing, I had to obviously invest a little bit more into that. But I felt that I was capable of doing my own marketing. And so that's what I did.
No, so I think that makes sense though, right? Because I mean, I think obviously the publisher that we went with, wasn't as expensive as going with, well, first of all, trying to get into the Harvard Presses or the Penguin,
right?
Those big dogs, they're not going to let us have the same type of access to putting out a book,
right?
As if going down a self-published route, or you finding a publisher that would allow us to do what you wanted to do. So you had to kind of take things into your hand, but that shouldn't discourage people because you were really successful, right? So through writing the book, and then sending out advance copies to everyone, starting an internet campaign, which really wasn't much, right? You found like 20 to 30 people who you trusted would have your back, right?
Yep.
You mailed them the books. They took pictures, put it on Facebook, put it on a hashtag so that it can kind of stay within the same domain. We rented out a co-working space and, had like the holiday, background in the back, in the background and everything.
Yep.
Through all of that, we want to know. So how did you do? How did your book launch go?
So the book launch was pretty successful. I don't know how many people actually attended, but it had to have been, I don't know. It was a lot of people who attended, at least on Facebook, and between Facebook and IG, I have to say maybe 100. I don't know.
That's huge.
And in and out, right? Like not consistently 100 for an hour, but like in and out. And then as far as Amazon is concerned, I ended up being the number one new release in jobs and careers in children's book. And I stayed at number one for about a week, and then I made the bestseller list also.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you.
I feel like I should be like Martin and be like, you go, girl. Remember that show?
Oh, yeah.
You go,
girl.
So basically,
so
when you were on your book launch, during that time, you were encouraging people to buy the book, encouraging people to buy multiple copies of the book. So it worked. It worked, right? You had a successful book launch. It's really hard. Like you told me, I didn't know, but it's really hard in your category, which was apparently in children's books, it's really hard to make the bestseller list. And that's probably because, I don't know, I'm not sure why actually it's so hard, but that's what I was told anyway, that it's really hard to make the bestseller list in children's books. And it's probably because, people buy children's books a lot, and then, they buy them in bulk oftentimes. And so I don't know why. I can't tell you why, but that's what I was told, that it's pretty difficult to make, the bestseller list and number one in children's books. But you did it.
So
you did it. Congratulations, number one.
Thank you. I do want to shout out. Can I shout out my coach?
Yes, go ahead.
So my coach is Dr. Dreon Birch, and I would like to shout him out for helping me along this journey. So he definitely played an integral role in helping me kind of get the creative juices flowing on how to become a number one bestseller on Amazon. So shout out and kudos to him.
Well, congratulations. I'm really proud of you to see you basically go from just kind of creating haikus This started off from the concept of just making haikus and stuff.
I don't know that I made a haiku.
Or whatever it was. Like, it was like,
I
what are
haven't
you
done
making?
a haiku since 5th grade.
Whatever. I was just like, what is this that you're creating? And you're like, I'm going to make this a book. Like, what?
Yeah.
You know, to go from that to actually creating the book and then, you know, the illustrations and getting the illustrator, that took a minute.
Yeah.
And then, you know, taking some time off, having our second son. But now, you know, it just seems like it's all coming together nicely, right? And you became, you know, number one in, you know, children's books. And
well, not the whole of children's books, jobs and careers.
Okay, whatever. It's our show. We can say whatever we want to say on this, right? And then you became a bestseller. So I hope that the audience kind of learned something about this. Because I think ultimately the biggest thing from this is that, you know, I always say this, but, you know, and I'm not the person who came up with this concept, but the gatekeepers are gone, right? Like, you know, we're in a new age, right? So, you know, take us back 20, 30 years, the ability to kind of write your own book, you know, at a at cost.
That was
either by a really cheap way or by doing some type of self-publishing way would be virtually impossible.
Right.
And then not only getting the book out, but then getting it to a point where we're getting mass appeal. You know, that is something that
it's the power of social media. I'm telling you, like you said, the gatekeepers are gone, and you know, now that you have a lot of advertising companies asking influencers to do things, it's like, wow, you know, all of a sudden the audience has become the gatekeeper.
Yes. The audience determines what's good or not, basically.
Right.
Yeah. Well, look, on the topic of making money outside of medicine, like I feel like we talk about, you know, just being, you know, docs outside the box, but on the topic of making money outside of medicine, we finally decided to diversify and not just pay off debt, not just, you know, invest in the stock market, which, you know, we know eventually that market is going to come down, but we decided to go into real estate.
Yep.
And this is something that I have some experience. I have some experience in real estate. I had my own spot when I started residency back in 2006, and then we kind of held on to it until last year. This year.
This year
we got rid of this year.
We sold that property.
Yeah, we didn't. We sold it at a loss. We weren't making much money.
No, we broke even.
We broke even.
Yeah.
But I've been really reluctant to get back into real estate, but it seems like, you know, now is the time for us to do this and make a move. So we finally put in an offer, and drum roll, please, Renee, we are now the owners of
nothing.
Yo, we put in an offer, got mad nervous, and we got rejected.
Promptly, too. They were like, they called us back in an hour. They're like, no.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, thanks, no thanks. Sorry, not sorry. But the reason why we bring that up, y'all, is to let y'all know that, you know, we're all about documenting and letting you all know that, you know, this thing is a grind. When people say that you have to put in plenty of offers, particularly in certain areas where we are in, New Jersey,
the market is hot out here.
The market is hot. The block is hot.
Yeah.
It's expensive. It's just like that here. So we put in an offer, which was roughly about 40,000 to 30,000 to 40,000 less than what they were asking for.
Yeah.
Mainly because, you know, we are fans of bigger pockets. We are fans of running the numbers. So we ran the numbers, and we realized,
they may not know what Bigger Pockets is.
Oh, Bigger Pockets is this huge movement. It's part of
a community.
It's a community. Yeah. They have a podcast, which I highly recommend that you all take a listen to. Y'all need to, right now as we are talking, I'll put in the show notes the link, but you guys need to listen to this podcast if you're interested in any form or fashion learning about real estate. You know, we've had Passive Income MD come and talk about this. We've had Semi-Retired MD, that power couple, come on and talk about it. So now we're jumping into it. So maybe you want to talk to us about some of the points of, you know, buying a house, the ins and outs, some of those things. What do you think?
Well, buying a house, I don't know how well versed I am in buying a house, but at least looking for a house, I know that I'm probably very well versed in that because I've been looking at a lot of houses lately.
So how many houses are you looking at per day?
Oh, God. Well, I have to at least be looking at least 5 a day. At the very least, 5 a day. I probably should be running more numbers. So as you know,
what does that mean? What does that mean, running the numbers?
So basically, when right now we're looking at the MLS, which is the listing. I forget what MLS stands for, but basically it's the main listing where most people will go to look for houses. So if you're going to look even for your dream house, chances are you're going to go to the MLS to go find it. So that's where we're starting right now. There are plenty of other ways to look for a house, but we're starting off with the MLS for this first investment potentially. So when you go to the MLS, let's say you go to realtor.com, right? That's actually one of my favorites because it has a lot of information on there. But if you go to realtor.com and you find a house that you think looks interesting, for us, we're looking for multifamily houses, so duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes. If you go onto realtor.com and you put in that you're looking for multifamily houses and you come across a house that you like, then what happens is you have to do what they call running the numbers. And I've learned this from Bigger Pockets. And running the numbers basically means not just looking to see whether or not the rent is going to cover the mortgage, right? Because that's a very baseline kind of like maybe screening test to see if you're at least the rents will cover the mortgage kind of thing. But there are a lot of other numbers that you need to be looking at. So you need to look at obviously the comps in the area, right? The comparisons in terms of how does the house compare to other houses that sold in the area, because you don't want to overpay for a house. Right. You have to look at what the rent comps are also. So not just the sales comps, but the rent comps, right? So you need to know whether or not if you have a 2-bedroom apartment and a 3-bedroom apartment, let's say in a duplex, you need to know, well, how much are the rents actually going for? Because if the rents are going for $900 and $1,000, but you want the rent to be $2,000 and $2,500, you're probably not going to get that in that area.
You're gonna get a bunch of nah sons.
Yes.
Nah shun. Shun. Nah shun.
Thank you.
You're not gonna be able to do that.
Thank you. Thanks. So
you don't like my shuns?
This is my show.
You don't like my shuns? Nah shun. Shun.
So
$900.
Yeah.
And then we saying the rent is too damn high, like what I'm saying in this place
the rent
right here.
is too damn high.
Because you can't go for, well, you can depending on what neighborhood you go to, but
right.
Not to cut you off, but you need the rent comparisons. You need to know what's realistic for your neighborhood.
Right. You need to know all of that information because that information is going to determine a lot of other numbers that you're going to be looking at, which, I'm not going to get into all of the numbers here because I think that's beyond the scope of this particular episode. Maybe we can talk about that, a little bit more, a little bit later on, and especially when we're definitely much more well-versed in it. But there's, something called the cap rate, there's something called the 1% rule, capital expenditures, all kinds of things that you need to really consider, your net operating income. So there are a lot of numbers and concepts that you need to understand before you actually buy an investment property. Because if you don't, you could end up with a money pit.
Yeah. So you basically end up buying something and it
doesn't cash flow.
You're not getting enough rent to cover the mortgage or any other things. And you end up
renovations, things like that.
You end up kind of just throwing money after money after money.
Yeah. Good money after bad.
Right. So how long does it take you? Let's say you're looking at a house, right? You see something on MLS or a realtor comes to you and says, I got this place. That's nice. All these different things. How long does it take you to run the numbers so that we can make a decision if we're going to make an offer on it?
I mean, you could run the numbers literally. It takes like 5 minutes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It's not, especially like you mentioned Bigger Pockets, on the Bigger Pockets community, they have a rental property calculator that you can use. And what's nice about Bigger Pockets is that they often have like these free webinars that you can sign up for. And once you sign up for the free webinars, they give you examples of how to run the numbers. And it's like prelim, right? It's not like you're sitting through a real estate course, real estate investment course, but it's something that, I think your average person can understand.
Okay, cool. Cool. So, for people who are interested in learning more about this stuff, I definitely recommend, there's a ton of books out there.
Yeah.
There's a ton of courses out there, but I definitely recommend, joining the Bigger Pockets community.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely recommend listening to their podcast. And if you want to take it a step further, if you want to actually have like an intensive course, the previous episode 137, I had Semi-Retired MD, like I said before. They're a badass couple. It's Dr. Leticia as well as Dr. Kenji. They're out on the West Coast, but they have a course. If you go to the show notes, you can definitely learn more about how to cash flow, how to identify and cash flow these properties. And that's the primary way in which they're able to have this quote unquote, semi-retired life where they're traveling to Hawaii. Did I just mess it up? Hawaii.
I don't know that they say V for their W.
I don't know. I'm just making it up.
Yeah, I don't think Hawaiians
So
say that.
on this show, are you just going to call me out the whole time? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, listen, just go to the show notes. Make sure you click on the link to learn more about their course. There's actually 3 more days 2 more days as of Friday that you can register for the course. I'm not going to lie, I'm an affiliate, but you know me, how I do on this show. I rarely am an affiliate or allow sponsors to go on my show unless I really believe in their product, which I do. So make sure you check that out and show some support. If you decide to sign up for that course, just, small disclaimer, that helps the show to grow. So the other thing I want to talk to people about is we're going to answer a question later on, but I want to remind people leave a question. If you have any questions about the show. We like questions, yo. We like questions. We, two heads, we think about things. We talk about things. We got a whole team here. Also, don't forget about Cheryl. Also, we think about things. But if you go to the website, go to drniidarko.com. That's DRNIIDARKO.com. Go to the website and go to the right-hand side of the website. You'll see a blue tab and it says, Ask Me a Question. Just click on that and you can leave a voice question on SpeakPipe. If you go to the previous Ask Dr. Nee segment, I actually put out 2 voicemails and we answered them about people telling us about the show, some questions, and what have you. So that's one of the easiest ways to leave a question. The next way is by Instagram. Go on Instagram and
goes down in the DM.
Hey, it go down in the DM.
It goes down.
Hey, people are like, yo, what is going on in this show, yo?
Let me tell you something. This is sleep deprivation, okay?
Yeah, sleep deprivation.
Seriously, these kids, they don't sleep.
We should start recording more at this time, though. We're more livelier at this time now, so.
Yeah, I think we're just more delirious at this time.
Yeah. But so leave us a message, DM me on Instagram. That's at Dr. Nee, so DRNIIDARKO, or Twitter. Facebook, you can leave me a message also, but
you're not gonna read it.
Yeah,
don't leave him a message.
And it's not
Facebook.
It's not that I don't use Facebook, but I just I feel like Facebook is like a chasm of like so many different things. There's like there's the Docs Outside the Box page, there's the Docs Outside the Box Nation page, then there's my personal account, then there's all these different, then there's messengers. Like, damn, how many different ways can people get in touch with me through Facebook?
There's a personal messenger, and then there's the business page messenger.
Right? I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah,
Let's move on.
You got to pull it together, Facebook. I'm starting to agree with you on that.
Yeah,
Facebook has to pull it together. But so you mentioned, I have a question for you. You mentioned that you're an affiliate for Dr. Kenji and Dr. Leticia. So tell me about your plans on letting people advertise on your show. Like, is this going to be?
We're going to open it up to the public, y'all. We want to see what y'all have to offer. So listen, I know a lot of times people, listen to podcasts or, whatever social media thing, and they see this advertisement that's coming from this big company or a company that has a ton of money behind them, right? Whatever food X company is, or whatever car X company is, or whatever internet this, or whatever it is.
In other words, you have to be a big sponsor in order to sponsor.
Right. So I want to kind of change and flip the tables on that basically, and allow
the gatekeepers are gone.
Right, the gatekeepers are gone, and I want to give you all, the listeners. First of all, I just want to thank you all for supporting all of our advertisers. You guys put your hard-earned money to supporting our advertisers, and the only reason that they continue to advertise on this show and allow this show to grow is because you guys trust the relationship that we have with our advertisers. You guys are supporting them. The Set for Life people want low cost. They want low cost, disability insurance. Physician CEO, we got at least 5 people who signed up for that course, and this is a big ticket item. People are flying from all parts of the country and even outside of the country to go to this course and learn about business. And then also Oats Overnight. Let's not forget about them.
I love Oats Overnight.
We got to order a new batch. But also, don't forget, if you use, I'm going to put the code in the show notes. I actually forgot. I think it was Darko10 or something.
Yeah, Darko10. Darko10 for 10% off.
Yeah, for 10% off. So
Oats Overnight.
Right, Oats right? Yo, I'm telling you right now, Oats Overnight, they
it's so good.
They sponsored the show, but we already were fans before.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's why I think that's why they ended up sponsoring the show.
Yeah.
Because I got to tell you, if it sucked, I'd have been like, yeah, don't let them sponsor the show.
I need that money.
I don't care.
I need that money.
I don't care. No. We're not going to let our audience eat crap. No way. But Oats Overnight is so good.
Yeah, it's good. It's convenient, especially for you people who wake up and are doing shift work where you have to be at work by 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. Hospitalists, critical care docs, trauma surgeons.
Or late at night.
ER, late at night docs who are on night shift. Have Oats Overnight at 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning while you're signing out, and that's your breakfast rather than having to get online, and you know how it is. So we don't need to go down that path, but make sure you check the show notes for the code, which is Darko10, to get 10% off. But listen, I want to give y'all an opportunity. I'm mad excited. So if you are a coach, if you're thinking about becoming a coach, if you have a course, whatever it may be, if you think that the audience wants to hear about it, man, hit us up.
You have a conference coming up.
If you have a conference coming up, hit us up, yo. Let us know. Come and advertise on Docs Outside the Box podcast. We are hitting thousands of people.
You gonna give them the 3-finger discount? Can't give them 5.
What's 3-finger discount?
I don't know, but the 5 sounds like a lot.
I got 5 on it. I don't know why I said that, but it just sounded fun to say. I got 5 on it. Yo, we need to get some sleep. But listen, if y'all are interested, hit us up. Go to drneedarko.com/contact or even /sponsors. Sponsorship, I think. Just go to drneedarko.com. It's on now.
You'll see
there's
all
either
the
sponsorship. There's also a contact me. And if you're interested, I highly recommend, if you have something that you're coming out with, a conference, if you have a course, if you're a coach, if you want to be able to talk to the people directly, why wait and do, Facebook ads, which, are good, but you can reach people directly through the podcast. So hit us up, yo. All right.
Yeah.
So
your direct audience. So
it's December. Another year is come and gone. We're getting to 2020.
I can't believe
there's a couple of things we got to work on.
20 years
into 2000, right?
Y2K.
Since Y2K. Yep.
Remember Y2K?
Expecting all the lights to go out.
Oh my God. Mm-hmm. Everybody was like, it's gonna be mayhem and chaos, and then the clock struck 12 and everybody was like, all right.
If you're at your work, you're waiting to go home.
Exactly.
Fail and I'll go
that
home.
Was anticlimactic.
But time flies, right?
It does.
Time flies.
It does, man.
So we got a lot of things we got to work on. We got to work on our theme. We typically have a family theme.
Yeah. What was our theme this year?
I think the theme this year was what? Unity? Not Unity.
No, not Unity. That was last year, I think. What's the name? It was not resolutions, results.
Oh yeah. Okay. So we're gonna have to in January. We'll have to do an episode about that and talk about
what results we got.
What results we got. So we have to work on the theme for 2020. But let's kind of talk about some of our favorite things. Right?
These are a few of my favorite things.
Let's talk about some of those things. So I'm gonna start it off with the podcast that I listen to consistently. So the podcast that I've been listening to consistently, and it's changed, right? There's the podcast that I listened to in 2015 and,
right.
you know, or in, you know, 2014, 15, 16 are definitely not the same as the ones that I listen to now. So, you know, I'm definitely listening to Bigger Pockets, which we described before, which is about real estate and learning how to hack that the best way. I'm listening to the His and Her Money Show.
Which has changed in and of itself, right? Yeah, they've evolved.
Yeah, they have evolved, which is good, right? You
can't
stay stagnant.
Absolutely.
I kind of look at them as almost like, you know, like they're kind of like on a pedestal, right? Like you look at them as these are the people that you kind of want to emulate things of, and they're never stagnant. Right. They're always changing things up. So I really appreciate their show. But if you're interested in how to get out of debt, if you're interested in finding a community of people who, you know, think that all debt is bad and are willing to talk about this, then I recommend their show. Their show is really good.
Yeah.
Obviously, So Money with Farnoosh.
Absolutely.
That's a great show. Not just for women, right?
Right.
Not just for women. I'm a big fan. I'm enjoying all the time the new guests that she has on the show. I'm enjoying her Ask, you know, Farnoosh Fridays where she's answering questions. So I definitely recommend that you all check that out also. Yeah. But I also, sometimes I don't listen to just, you know, money shows. I don't listen to just shows about real estate. I'm just listening, you know, just in general about things.
Yeah, social issues. Yeah.
You know, that's my thing right now.
Comedy.
So right now I am listening to Torre. So I like the Torre show.
Yeah.
Never mind his intro. I'm not a big fan of his intro, but
yeah, Torre, if you're listening, which he's probably not because he's not a doctor, but Torre, you really need to change that intro.
Yeah. I don't like his intro.
But I do like his show.
He needs to take my course.
Torre, if you're listening, you need to take the 10 days of podcasting course.
Talk about intros. But yeah, the Torre show is something that I'm down with. I love it. Basically kind of social, kind of more on the social end, culture end, you know, just doing a who's who.
Even like an advocacy spin to it also. Yeah, it's a very good show.
Big fan of that. Obviously, this person who I'm a big fan of.
Yes.
Big fan of her show is Jamel Hill.
Yep.
Unbothered, which she pulled a boss move. Her show is only on Spotify.
Oh, really?
Yeah, her show is only available on Spotify. So
I didn't realize we were listening to it on Spotify only.
So we're going to have to let people know about our Spotify playlist soon. So we're going to have to release that. But for you all who are listening, if you try to use on your iPhone, if you try to use, you know, the whatever app, the subscribe app or subscription app, or on Android, whatever app you use outside of Spotify, you won't find her podcast. So you have to download Spotify. It's free. And you can listen to her show. And
I wonder why do you think she did that?
They're smart because they have an exclusive contract.
Right.
With her, right. So
they basically sponsor her show.
Well, they produce her show. They sponsor the show. I mean, they put the show together.
Right.
And they're trying to build their own network. So they're putting a lot of money into podcasts. So this is their way of saying, okay, well, we want to jump into podcasts. Well, how do we get more people to listen directly on our platform? Right. And the way how you get people to listen directly on your platform is by offering exclusive content.
Right. And definitely Jamel Hill she's a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I know she's controversial in some regards, but I actually appreciate that. I really enjoyed her takes when she was on SportsCenter. I thought she really took her time to take a really nuanced view on a lot of things. Obviously, a lot of things related to sports and race.
Yeah. She's very well thought.
Yeah,
very well thought.
And then, so I really enjoy her show. And also, the cool thing about it is it just seems as though like she's really just betting on herself. So I
love that.
She has a thing with the Atlantic where she's, you know, a columnist for the Atlantic. And then obviously she has her own show. And then she has her own production company. So I really appreciate what she's doing there. And then last but not least, I'm listening to Side Hustle Pro with Nicalia Matthews, which is a great show. Started off about, you know, mainly with, you know, the side hustles that Black women can do. But it's become really a great force to be reckoned with. She was actually on the Today Show.
Yeah.
And was featured on Oprah on the O Magazine list. But it's a really good show. It gives really good perspectives on.
She's the one that we met at FinCon.
No, we've never met her.
We didn't meet her.
No.
Who am I thinking about? The young lady, she also had a baby the same year. I don't remember.
No, I'm not sure.
Yeah. But, it's a good show also. Side Hustle Pro.
What about you?
Yeah.
What are you listening to?
I'm listening to what you're listening to. Pretty much. So when you listen to Skip and Shannon, I'm listening.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can't stand Skip, man. Oh, my goodness. Every now and then, I gotta get off that narcotic.
But, no, I'm listening, obviously, to, Farnoosh, Ty and Talent of His and Her Money, Bigger Pockets. I used to get a lot more alone time to be able to listen. But,
Well, how about this? So I know that from a podcast standpoint, getting your, that time to kind of be alone is hard.
Yeah.
So how about this? What are you watching? What are your shows right now that you're watching? I know you're doing that.
Oh, you know what I'm watching? I'm watching a lot of Sesame Street. Besides kid stuff. I'm actually, I don't know. I'm like How to Get Away with Murder.
Yeah,
catching up with that.
Yo, y'all
catching up with The Walking Dead.
That's the How to Get Away with Murder redeemed itself. So last season I wasn't a big fan of. The show's great, first of all.
Yeah.
So
even in its worst seasons, it's great.
Well, it was only one bad season, and I thought it was a bad season, but it's still a great show. And this past mid-season finale was straight fire,
bananas,
yo. Crazy.
It was really good. It was really good. So, I caught up on that. I'm catching up on The Walking Dead, which we have boycotted for a while.
Yeah, because Rick is not on the show. And I think the show is about Rick and his son. And I just feel like if there's no Rick, if there's no Carl.
See, but you're Carl. But see, you're inconsistent with that, Nee. I'm going to tell you why. Because you're the same person that says the caliber of a show by whether or not it kills off main characters and can still carry on. And while Rick and Carl were main characters, I mean, the show is still ongoing and you refuse to watch it.
Because the show is about them.
But it's not, right? So maybe they were the main focus of the show, but maybe the show isn't about them, right? So that's why I started watching it again. And it's actually, the writing isn't that great, but I can see what they're doing, and it's not bad. It's not bad. They're doing a pretty good job.
I'll think about it.
They're doing a good job.
I'll think about it.
So
for me, my favorite, definitely How to Get Away with Murder.
Mm-hmm. Power.
We don't have much time to watch, but come on now. Power. The funny thing is, I don't know why we should have said that first. Power.
No, we needed to save the best for last because Power
is a great show. If you guys aren't watching Power on Stars, we bootleg it. But if you ain't watching Power.
Good. Now, Power, what's great about Power? Power has a lot of tension in it, which really keeps the show going. But the other thing that is kind of good and bad about Power is that it can piss you off.
Oh, like when they changed the intro and had play songs? Like, yo, why do you have to change? I don't understand it. Why do shows do that, right? Like shows, all of a sudden, there's a good thing going, and then
50 Cent, you know what?
And then you change it
I
up
ain't going to leave no messages to 50 Cent because I don't want to mess with him.
Yeah, you don't want that.
I don't want them problems.
You want them problems.
I don't want them problems.
50 Cent look like he don't give a...
Yeah.
And you don't want me to have to go up to him and be like...
No, you wouldn't make it.
What'd she do to piss you off? What'd she do to piss you off, huh?
You want me to take care of that?
You want to take care of that? You know what I'm saying, 50? I'll take care of her, yo. And come back to you.
Yeah,
like, why you messing with 50 Cent for? Get on out of here.
You messing with this good man.
But yo, Power is a great show. I recommend that people watch that. It's a great show. When we have time, we don't have that much time to watch it. But yo, we've been on this, doing this episode for so long, we have not gone into our question actually.
Oh, God, I forgot.
Yeah, so we got a question a couple of weeks ago. This is from a medical student, and his name is Alan Aklar. I hope I got it right. Alan Akar, excuse me. And his question is, hey, doctor, I'm currently a medical student thinking about getting an MBA while in medical school. I was wondering if you could tell me the benefits of having one or if it has helped you out all so far? Thank you. So this is a really good question, right? You're in medical school. There is an opportunity to get a dual degree, maybe an MBA, maybe an MPH, maybe an MPA, whatever it may be. And you're not so sure like what you're going to be doing or using it, maybe in 4, possibly 5, possibly 8 years, right? Because after that, you're going to be in residency and then maybe, fellowship and then what, so this is a really good question. So briefly, me and Dr. Renee, we have our MBAs. We were in a dual degree program at Kansas City University of Medicine and Biosciences, where you would get your MBA you would get your MBA degree in 4 years. So it'd be at the same amount of time that it took you to go through med school.
So DO and MBA in 4 years.
Right, which was great. We looked at it differently. So when I got it, I thought when I was in medical school that I was going to, kind of open up my own clinic, have a private practice, hang a shingle, and I needed to know the talk of business. So that's the reason why I wanted to get one. I don't know if you were thinking the same thing also.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing.
But you kind of had a different view on or take on things once you were in
once
the middle
I got into the MBA.
Let's hear about that.
Yeah, so, it's funny because like you said, I thought I was going to hang my shingle, start my practice, and that would be the end of it. But once I got into the MBA program and started learning more and more about the business of medicine, I realized that there is no business of medicine without the policy of medicine, right? Like the two...
Look at you getting all profound on this.
Yeah, okay. The two are not mutually exclusive, right? So, in order to be able to do business in medicine, you have to understand health policy, because policy really and truly affects, how you get paid, what you can do, how you can approach people, what information you can give out as a physician. I mean, it really just completely controls your practice to a very large extent. And so I then started to get more interested in health policy to the point where I started going down the path of looking for health policy fellowship programs. And I had a very brief health policy career in doing the fellowship program, and then coming back and directing the fellowship program, doing some editorials concerning policy, specifically writing for Policy Prescriptions, which is run by Dr. Cedric Dark. And, it just really opened up just a totally different perspective for me, which then I realized I didn't want to start my own practice anymore, but that was kind of my evolution with going into an MBA program, thinking one thing and coming out doing another.
I think that's a good answer. I think that anybody who's considering getting an MBA should really consider, some factors before getting one. I think the biggest thing is just understanding that you're going to be spending in medical school as well as residency. You're going to spend the majority of your time being an expert on the human body and, obviously specializing on a certain part of the human body. So there's not going to be much time at all to really understand like the business sense of medicine until you start actually having your own practice. Or
your own business in general.
Your own business in general. So I think if you are looking for just gaining like some business skills, or, if you want to get like that business acumen, then I think getting an MBA may be something that you may be interested in. The other thing too is, if you are, really interested in like learning like IT, right, which is huge now, right?
Right.
So if you want to understand how EMR systems work, how to make EMR systems more, what's the word I'm looking for? How to make them more streamlined with your practice and so forth. You can get that from getting an MBA, depending on.
We definitely got that.
That's important. The other thing too is the understanding of how people work, right? Which I think is probably paramount to all of this stuff, right? Understanding the business skills are important. Understanding the technological things, with business are important, but also understanding how people work, right? How do you encourage people? How do you do human resources?
Right.
Like, these are all things that people just don't consider, right? Because oftentimes when people leave a job, it's not because they don't like the work that they do there. They're actually leaving the people.
Yeah, leaving the people. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's something that I think is really big, and it's something that plays a huge role, is just the management skills. And then last but not least, if you have ever thought about maybe wanting to be like a chief medical officer, or if you want to be quote unquote in the C-suite, of a medical institution or of a large healthcare organization, then, having some additional training, maybe an MBA or MPH or MPA or something like that may be helpful also.
Yeah, it's a good credential to have. What's nice about, those extra degrees is that it, helps you it speaks volumes before you ever open your mouth. Right. So once you see someone's, white coat, or you see their resume, the CV that says, MD, blah, 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 or DO, blah, 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 then it speaks volumes that this person has extra training. But that being said, you don't necessarily have to have those extra letters behind your name in order to be able to do, to be successful in business.
Right. I mean, we've seen, and I think that's been the biggest thing, being on the other side now, creating, this podcasting business, you creating your own business with coaching students, and just seeing different people just be successful in real estate. People be successful, as influencers, whatever it may be.
Right.
So many of them, the majority of them, are successful without having any type of additional degrees. A bunch of them haven't even gone to college.
Right.
Don't necessarily equate being successful or being able to accomplish all of these things, these 4 things that I mentioned,
with a formal education.
And look, man, the stakes are high. Streets are watching. It's expensive.
Right.
Some of these MBA programs are like 70 G's.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
So, I would just kind of think about all these things. I know we're not giving you a definitive answer, but
because there isn't one.
There isn't a definitive answer, but it's at least good to know the options of what to expect when you get an MBA, but also at the same time, know that you're adding to your debt.
Right.
And you have to be really, nowadays, I think you should be really
cautious.
Cautious
is the word.
About getting additional degrees and not sure if you're not going to be able to use it, particularly once you go through medical school, residency, fellowship, and then you get to a point where you're like so comfortable, you're like, what? But I remember I got this degree and I'm not going to do anything about it, but you're paying for it.
Right. You're paying for it. So, yeah, I mean, there is no definitive answer to this. I would never tell someone, oh, you need to get an MBA, because you don't need to get an MBA. You have to determine whether or not an MBA is going to be conducive to your own success in the future. So that really is a personal choice. I don't have any regrets about my MBA. It did help me a lot with, especially at the time, because I was, while I was in med school, I was also chairperson of the board of directors of S&MA. So there were a lot of things in running that organization that I felt were, I felt like I had a little more of a heads up with, when financial statements were placed in front of me. I was just kind of like, oh, okay. So I do understand, what the profit and loss statement is, what the income statement is and things like that. So I think I had a little bit more of a heads up versus if I had just gone to medical school and not been in the MBA program. I think it would have just been a little more challenging for me to kind of run the organization. So
Absolutely. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
So look, thank you very much for submitting that question. That was the bomb.
More
really
questions.
Good questions. We need more questions. So guys, remember, hit me up at Dr. Nee Darko on Instagram. I will get the message and I will, put it on the show and we'll answer it. Also, you can also leave a voice message. on the website directly. Go to drneedarko.com. Go to the right-hand side of the screen. You'll see a blue tab that says Ask Dr. Nee or Ask Me. Click it, leave a voice message, and I will feature your question on the show.
Yeah.
What I'm really excited about coming up, obviously the new year is coming up, but I have a virtual summit coming up also. So I'm willing to put it out there. So we have a virtual summit coming up. Yep, it's coming out in January. So that's going to be basically 5 days of episodes that are dedicated. Straight podcast episodes. So I'm going to talk more about that as we get into January, but I'm putting it out there. So it's something that...
Put it out there a little more. Let's hear a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so it'll be January 20th to the 24th. And besides the normal episodes that you hear on Mondays and Fridays, this week or that week you will hear basically podcasts from different doctors and different notable people in social media who've written books, whatever it may be, people who are doing things outside the box, who you want to hear from, we're gonna focus on the topic of mindset. How do you break free from certain thought processes that kind of keep you on the fence, keep you, keep you from taking full steps and make you half step. I've talked about that a couple of times on the show before. So
that's
I'm
really
very excited
important.
about that.
That's really important, actually, when you're talking about mindset, because I'm sure there are a lot of people in your audience listening to this podcast and so many other episodes that you've had before who, they have ideas, but they're afraid to put their ideas out there, right? They're afraid to step outside the box.
They're half stepping.
Yeah, or they're not stepping at all. They see other people doing it and then they come up with excuses as to why, they can't be the one to do it. And so it does start with mindset.
Right. And if you're that person who's listening to this show right now, we're not, pointing at you and making fun of you or anything like that.
We're saying you need to come to this summit.
Yeah, you need to
come to this summit.
Listen to the summit and kind of see what other people are doing and find out that there really isn't that big of a difference between what these successful people are doing and what you're doing. We're not making fun of you. We're not, trying to cast aspersions on you. We're letting you know that we used to be just like that also.
Yeah.
And it takes time. It takes time. But sometimes you just need to be exposed to people, find out what they used, what they were able to do to get past certain roadblocks in their mind to be uber successful. How are they able to be successful without having an MBA, right?
Right.
So I'm really excited about that. So that's going to be January 20th to the 24th. There's going to be some other big things coming, but
so what do you want them to do in order to get the most out of this summit?
So for them, the biggest thing is just continue to pay attention. Some more information will come out via email as well as through the future episodes and so forth. Other thing too that I'm excited about is t-shirts. So I've been talking about this for a while, but merch. All right, Dr. Renee, you don't have to laugh so hard, but finally merchandise is finally coming out. Okay, I don't have a date yet, but it's coming out. And we're going to let people know when they can get some merchandise. And obviously, as soon as people start submitting questions also, I think what I'll start doing is start getting them shirts also.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
That would be a nice idea.
Start getting some people rocking some Docs Outside the Box t-shirts.
Yeah.
It's going to be funky and fly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And then we'll get Dapper Dan. Dapper Dan to hook them up.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, so those are the things that we're really excited about. So listen, we're going to get going. We're getting close to about an hour now. So.
Oh gosh, we need to cut this episode.
Yeah, we need to get going. We need to go to bed, So thank you all for listening to another episode of Docs Outside the Box, specifically Ask Dr. Nee segment. Dr. Renee, thanks for coming on the show. It's always appreciated.
Thank you. I love the fact that your audience has requested me by popular demand.
Well, those IOUs should be coming soon.
No, thank you, y'all. I really
20s.
appreciate you guys listening. I know this is Nee's show and you guys tune in for him, but I do appreciate you guys allowing me to come on to the show and entertain your earbuds.
So that's it, guys. We'll catch y'all on the next one. Remember, we only got one life. Let's make it count and live outside the box.
Peace.